Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to another CryptoManiacs podcast, streaming for your viewing pleasure. Well, hopefully it's your pleasure. We're not totally sure, but it's streaming, and we're here, and it's going to be uploaded on 3Speak because you speak, we speak, we all love 3Speak. How you doing, Task? How you doing?
I'm doing well. I've been busy just blasting the blockchain with content. That's been my life here the last 10 days. Why I undertook this project, I don't know, but I did. So,
You're nothing but dedicated, sir.
uh, dedicated, demented, I don't know what fits, but it is what it is. Little public service announcement, if I could, John. There is a scam running around on Discord targeting people on Hive. If you get an invite from anime fan, from any of your friends, ignore it. It's evidently a scam link. And 3Speak and Leo Finance, two of the Discord groups I'm in, have posted announcements that it's a scam. So avoid that one like the plague.
Don't click links. There you go. That you don't know or not. Good public service announcement. Yes, I got the warnings today too. So yes, guys, watch out for that crazy stuff. Lots of good questions this week. Should we dive right into it? And
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we're here for, to see what the loving fans are interested in.
yeah, the loving fans, the people that put up with us. You mean, right?
Well,
Yeah.
we're not the only demented ones then.
Yeah. I called it a little late because I didn't get this out till about 24 hours ago. Well, 19 hours ago, it says it right there. So not even 24 hours ago that I put the post up. It was my son's birthday yesterday. So I was doing barbecuing and people were over and we were having quite the little shindig here. So that was my excuses though. I did an entire post. So John, stop making excuses. Do you have any?
To add fuel to the fire, you didn't even send me an invite to your son's birthday party. I mean, what, are you ashamed of me?
No, man, it's okay. It's okay.
Well, I would be, but anyway, I mean, that's a different subject altogether.
Perfect.
Yep, no invite from John. It just
I invited you through Spirit. How about that?
Oh, okay, through Spirit.
Yes.
What the hell does that mean? Now I gotta go find a woo-woo doctor.
Voodoo, you do. Guys, thank you for showing up today because it's great when the community comes out in full force. So let's dive right into it because we do have a bunch to get into. So we'll start with iJat. He said, "Can you put a link to where the show is and how to reach it? Twitch, 3Speak, maybe even the name of the show. It's CryptoManiacs. How do we not do a good enough job with branding the name of this show? That's terrifying to me."
I don't know, and I mean, you seem to always put the link on Twitter. It's, I don't know. Evidently, we need to drop the link in more places. Do you put the link in the question post? Well, that doesn't even work either because it doesn't work till you go live. You can put the like Anchor link to the recordings, but the live is when you go live. You get the link through the software, right?
Yeah, I guess I'm just not doing a good enough job of branding.
Yeah, maybe throw the Vim. I mean, can you do the Vim link in the question so it's in the post itself?
I will do that next week. I will put a link, but it is CryptoManiacs. You can find it on Spotify and you can find it on 3Speak under my account as well. So.
Yeah, but those aren't live. Is he asking about the live or the recording?
I guess the live. I mean, again, I thought we did a good enough job, but obviously not of because actually someone actually asked today in the CTP Discord when we go live on Fridays. So that's my bad. I got to do a little bit better at life, guys. So I will do better. I promise you. I will definitely. But it's Tuesdays and Fridays, 1 p.m. Eastern, on Vim, on YouTube, on Twitter. and then we upload on 3Speak. So there you go. There you go. And he actually has a question other than John do better, which is a good one. Why does everyone think Hive is better than any other cryptos? Over 50% of Hive is controlled by 37 whales. Any of them could tank it. I use the Hive and Wax ecosystems and plan to be here for a good while. Over 50% of Hive is controlled by 37 whales. I mean, I guess like you'd have to have all 37 say screw it, and I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, maybe one or two.
Well,
but,
especially since we don't know who Freedom is, and he's the biggest account. He, she, it, they, and that hasn't moved in years. Block Trades isn't going to be dumping. They Call Me Dan, who's in the top 3 or 5, isn't going to be dumping. So you just took most of the, or not most, but a fair portion of that 50%, and you probably between those three push 7 or 8% that isn't going to be dumped. And then I could go through, I don't know what Markey has. I don't know what Archange has. I don't know what a lot of them have, but they have a significant amount. To answer the question, why is Hive superior to everybody else, is not in the token distribution and in the coin. It's in the blockchain. It's in the fundamentals of what we can do here. And when you look at the simple fact that Hive is a blockchain, which means it's distributed ledger technology, but unlike Bitcoin, which the ledger is just financial transactions back and forth, Hive's ledger can include our comments, our posts, our upvotes, all the stuff that we do on chain. So we have the ability, and this is the project I'm undertaking, of constructing a decentralized database. And people say, well, it's not decentralized. Bullshit. I post anything to Hive. It's on over 100 different computers around the world, most of them unrelated. So it goes on 3Speak's computer, it goes on CTP's computer, it goes on BlockTrade's computer, it goes on Howoo's computer, it goes on Archange computer, and whoever else is running a witness node, they each have a copy of the ledger that is updated every, 45 seconds or whatever. And that's very, very powerful when you start to look at the fundamentals and the foundation of Web 3.0. Everybody wants to talk about the tokenomics of Web 3.0. And this is where, oh, well, Elon just adds Doge to Twitter. That's Web 3.0. No, that's not it. You have to look at the fundamental data structure, and that's the real game changer. And I wrote a post this morning about how Hive actually could take out Twitter. And it's not because somebody builds a Twitter clone that kills Twitter. It's the fact that you have Twitter's nothing more than a centralized database with 15 years worth of data from its users, along with the front end. So if you build the back end on Hive, which Leo Finance is trying to do, and once the data structure is pinned to Hive, just like long form content, any UI can access it. That content is public. So in that instance, if Blaine wanted to build an app or build in a feature into CTP Talk that structures or takes in that micro blogging content, if you will, he could do it, because once it's on the blockchain, it's there. He can feed into it. How many other blockchains can do that and do it without zero direct transaction cost? You could try to do that on Polygon, but I mean, John, are you going to pay even a penny to do an upvote? Are you going to pay a penny to do a tweet?
Nope.
I mean, and if you're a heavy user, I mean, can you imagine like Nathan Mars when he gets going, if he had to pay a penny a piece? I mean, it's just all of a sudden somebody's having to spend 10, 15 bucks a day just to engage with a blockchain. And, that's all right. If you're trading, you don't really give a shit. But if you're just hacking around on a social media app like Twitter, would you want to do that? I don't think many would want to do that. And so that's why Hive stands out to me. It's not so much the token cost. It's not so much the prospects of the coin that will follow. And you want to look at the distribution. Well, go take a look at EOS's distribution. They got about 50% in 10 wallets. And you don't even know. I mean, that may be just 3 different people. That may be Block One and Larimer and whatever his partner's name was. I mean, they may control 40, 50% of the stake for all we know. That doesn't happen on Hive. John, you there? I don't know if we lost John or not.
All right, you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, as Elon was acting up. I gotta talk to Elon, man. Yeah, that was and iJat, I know, actually is part of the Index Guild, so he plays Splinterlands. You can't do Splinterlands on another blockchain. You just can't. I mean, you could. It's just going to cost you a lot of money. So it's use case. That's the big thing. So that's why I think everyone thinks Hive is superior, because we have use case development and community.
And also another thing, it's DPoS, which if you study DPoS versus POS versus POW, the one thing, and there's a lot of attacks against DPoS, which we can't answer one way or another because it really hasn't been tried out. But the one thing that does not seem to be disputed is DPoS can scale much better. So there is the scaling capabilities, whereas, we know proof of work doesn't have the scaling capabilities. Proof of stake, we have not seen as of yet, although, the Ethereum merge will be a big one. If they can pull that off, that'll add a lot of validation to the scalability of POS. But then that doesn't solve the transaction fees, as we said.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the question, iJat. Hope that helps. Best start. This is John. He's in the audience on Vim. Big shout out to John. He said, better late than never. Yep. Can you explain vests and how it relates to Hive's achievements?
Explain what?
Vests.
Oh, MVests.
Yeah.
Vests.
Yeah, that's the. So this is the one thing about Hive. Hive is usable for everyday people like me, but the people that developed it, let's just say, maybe socially awkward, maybe. So instead of calling things resource credits or Hive power, let's call it vests. And vests is basically the techie term for Hive power, give or take, right? I mean, obviously there's more to it than that, but when people say vests, it's the number on the blockchain that equals the Hive power. Because let's confuse people, right?
Then we can go even further and talk mana.
Right. Mana, resource credits, vests. Yeah.
It's all, John's right. It's all has to do with just your ability to engage in the blockchain, and you need these vests. And also that's how it's calculated for your votes for witnesses. They're actually counted not based upon Hive power. It's actually counted based upon MVests or vests.
Yeah. Without getting too technical, just think of it as Hive power, because that's the easiest way I look at it. It's a number that's on the blockchain on the back end that deals with voting and stuff like that. Yeah. But the more Hive power you have, the more vests you'll have.
Yep.
So it's techie people, man. Jimmy is up with a great question. For the first time, I am more than optimistic about Project Blank. I never really put much thought into it because I hadn't felt like we were anywhere near it actually happening. Not that it has happened yet, but it's safe to say, should we be more than optimistic? I'll let you take this one, man, because you have a much more closer
Much
tie
more
to.
emotional investment since I started talking about Cal with this 2 years, almost 2 years ago next month. In fact, if you look at Leo Market Talk, that's where that sprung from. And I don't remember the exact date when I started that, but look at when that account was opened. It was a result of those conversations. Um, I think it's big news that there's talk from Cal on the AMAs that maybe by the end of the month, maybe not, maybe it'll roll into August, but the threads, what they're calling threads feature, will be added to leofinance.io. And what that is that's kind of the precursor to Project Blank. And so, if indeed we are within, let's say, 3 weeks, give or take, of seeing that update roll out with threads, and the idea is, and this is where dbuzz is different. The whole idea and the concept that we had discussed in the early days, and dbuzz I think was out at that time. The challenge is dbuzz is a top line blog post. So first off, if you send out a dbuzz, your auto voters see it as a post and auto vote you. The second thing is it shows up on people's feeds, and sometimes that'll piss them off if they see a feed of, just a picture of your big toe or whatever. And the third thing is you can only send out every 5 minutes. So if you are looking for a microblog in Twitter clone, that doesn't really work. And so the idea of threads, I guess, from what I can see, I don't have any inside info on this, but just from listening and going back to conversations in the past, the idea is going to be that the thread account, the master account, will do a blog post. And then everybody will basically and effectively be commenting in that blog post. Now, the UI will obviously not see it that way. The UI will read it just similar, and it'll sort the data and manipulate the data similar, so it looks like it looks on Twitter, where you make a comment, a thread, you put out a blank, whatever they want to call it, and then other people respond to it, and you're looking at the UI, and it looks like it does on Twitter. That's my understanding. Now, this is not the final product, but it all has to do with how the data is going down on the blockchain. And by the way, this is a test. So they want to see if it can work, because if it can work this way, it will allow for proof of brain. If not, the other option is to do all of this through custom JSON, which then will post all the data to the blockchain. The problem is there's no proof of brain because you can't upload custom JSONs. So that's really where it's coming from, and they're trying to get the infrastructure correct right now. So yes, I would say that now is the time to be more excited than we've been in the past, more optimistic than we've been in the past, because it looks like we are getting closer to at least the first iteration. Does that mean we are getting close to having a Twitter clone, setting up a Twitter-like database on Hive, which people can set up front ends? No, we're not close to that.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun when it does get launched, but the technical aspects of it are always a challenge. So there you go. Tokenize is up. Hey there, maniacs. do you think the Celsius situation will significantly impact the crypto world in the short term? What was it, $10 billion?
No, I think it was a $1.5 billion hole on their balance sheet, which
1.5.
that's a lot of jack.
Yeah. Billion with a B. That's
Yeah,
small
with
B
a
or
B.
big B?
It doesn't matter at that level.
Yeah, man, dude. Is it gonna? Well, it's already impacted the crypto world because that was supposed to be the safe haven. Like I remember this time last year, the argument was, Nexus, Celsius, which is the more stable one? Oh, Celsius. Celsius is this is the place to go if you're gonna keep your Bitcoin on exchanges. This is where you keep it. It's like this was supposed to be the safe bet, and it failed miserably.
Mm-hmm.
Short term, yeah, it's more long term. I think long term pulling out from it. No, I think we'll get through it, just like we got through Mount Gox, just like we got through, a whole bunch of these, BitConnect. Like we've been through these type of things. The problem with this is that it looked like everything Celsius was doing was above board. It was great. It was fantastic. Everything made sense on paper. Obviously not. And I think that's the impact. It's the trust factor, and especially you combine that with the Luna and Terra stuff. Remember, stablecoin. It's supposed to be stable. When there's lack of like trust in those type of products and services, that's where we get into trouble. So yeah, dude.
Well,
I think
that's the entire financial monetary system. It's all trust and confidence. The only reason you have any trust in the Canadian dollar is because you have trust in the Canadian dollar, so you use it. You go into some of these third world nations that have totally torched their currencies, and you lose the trust in government. Invariably, that ends up affecting so many different things across the board. And that's why the banking system and regulation and all this other shit is supposed to instill trust in the ledger that these banks and that these financial institutions maintain. And it's all ledger because, you sign up with a TD Ameritrade account. They don't have any cash on hand back in your account. It's all numbers on a screen. And
exactly.
so the second you lose trust in that, there's a problem. And that is the reason for blockchain. That's the reason for DeFi. And it goes back to the old saying in crypto, not your keys, not your crypto. And old guard crypto people always warn about the third party risk. And Celsius, you're taking an added risk when you get involved with these entities and have them holding your crypto because it's not your crypto anymore. And I saw a headline about their bankruptcy file and what they said in. We mismanaged the balance sheet. Oh, really? You think? To the tune of 1.5 billion.
Yeah,
It's like
maybe mismanaged.
So now if you had any crypto in there, I presume you are just a creditor in bankruptcy court, and that's not a fun place to be.
Very true. And this kind of a follow-up to this, My Path to Fire says, is the bear market over? And will more exchanges add Hive? Is the bear market over?
Don't know.
No idea.
My guess is, and I've said this before, crypto is a risk on, risk off. And while the Fed is still intent on destroying the economy and worried about the CPI print, it's risk off. And to me, that means that crypto is not going to get any traction. It may have a bear market rally, but I think it's going to be tough for the next few months and see where it is in the fall. I am convinced at some point the Fed and Jerome Powell is going to be slapped in the face with a giant fish of how stupid they're being with this approach, and they're going to have to reverse course. My suggestion, watch the bond market. Watch the fixed income market. That usually recovers before the risk on. And if you see bonds starting to bottom out and go up, that's your first sign that maybe start thinking about the risk on. we could want to start position. I believe we'll want to start positioning towards the end of the year. It may take till the second quarter next year for the bull really to kick in, but I think first or second quarter next year you might get the bull. But that's just speculation and just a guesstimate. But I'd watch the Fed. I'd watch how jittery they get when they have to reverse course, and let the bond market be your guide. I mean, that's 120 trillion with a T market. So lot of jack in that market.
Yes, and just to keep stacking till then. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Hope that helps. Good question. Dr. Lobes,
Well,
this is going to be
just to go on that one comment, John. I mean, again, at the end of the day, dollar cost averaging, and we talked about this, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago. In the projects you love, dollar cost average. And on Hive, the best part of dollar cost averaging is you can do it through effort. You get rewarded in tokens, or coin. And whatever you're added to your holding on those projects you like is at a dollar cost average of 0. So it only makes sense, as John and I beat the dead cat. Stay the course, be consistent, show up every day. And, if you got a little extra money on your long-term holdings, maybe it's a good time to add. I mean, if you can figure out how to buy at the bottom, you're a better person than I ever could be. So it's always a guessing game. But, today's prices are a hell of a lot better than they were 6 months ago.
Yeah, if you believe in the project, right? I mean, if
you believe in the project,
it's at a discount. So there you go.
Yeah.
Speaking of projects, Dr. Lobes is up. Love the avatar too. He's got the Ferengi in the avatar for all you Star Trek Trekkies out there. Are Star Trekkers or Trekkies? They're Trekkies.
They're Trekkies.
Trekkies. We need more info on the Ragnarok game. It's been almost 2 months since the registration for alpha testers was opened, but no more info came out since then. We are running nodes for the game. We are waiting for the launch of the NFTs. Most probably they won't be launched all in one go. We are waiting to alpha test the game. We need more info and not much is coming out. Maybe you can buzz some people who can offer more details on the current situation. I know absolutely nothing about it. All these projects to me, when Ragnarok was announced, when Project Blank was announced, I never anticipated they would be ready next week. I even remember reading about Ragnarok, how they weren't going to have alpha testing and beta testing and stuff like that for like 6 months to a year. So I'm not, like, I don't keep my ear to the street when it comes to that stuff. Like, I'll hear rumblings here and there, but I don't really pay it much attention, just because I know it's an ambitious project. It's a massive project, and they don't have a $1 trillion development team. And that's something to remember, I think, in crypto, is that you are, bootstrapping a lot of this stuff. A lot of these things are 1 or 2 people jobs. I know from experience with what we're doing. We have one developer, and it takes time. So I wasn't really anticipating any big news. But I don't know. Tass, do you have any inside scoop?
No, I know about as much as you do. The only thing I caught wind of was the head artist who was developing some of the NFTs died, and it took Dan a little while to find another one. I think he did find another one, but in terms of the time frame on rollouts, I just, for some reason, I have imprinted in my mind that it's like mid 2023. So it was a long-term time frame that they laid out, and nothing was happening quick. So I'm kind of like you. I don't really pay a whole lot of attention on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's to me, it's similar to like CyberX. It's like all this stuff is fantastic, and it's just going to take time. So if you believe in the project, like, again, to me, this is a belief in, they call me Dan and Starkers. And 3Speak, the fact that they have had a working project, they got Speak Network that they're developing. Like, this is a belief in what the people, the behind them, and the track record. So, like you said, I wasn't anticipating anything until like next year. So that's why I haven't really had my ear to the street per se when it comes to Ragnarok. So, yeah. but I'm still collecting my airdrops for Speak Network too. There you go. Hope that helps. Sorry, man. It's not might not be the answer you're looking for, but we'll poke around. I mean, and come to the CTT shows. Ask questions there too, like direct from the horse's mouth. I mean,
I'll try to remember. I'm going to be on there tomorrow, so I'll try to remember to ask them.
There you go. NFT BBG's got a couple questions. We'll get to his first one right now. So far, this is the question that comes to mind. What blockchain book do you recommend for non-tech people? And perhaps later, Blockchain for Everyone is one I read. Blockchain for Everyone was a fantastic book. Blockchain Revolution was great. It's old though. But Blockchain for Everyone was a fascinating read, a lot of fun. And then there's another one I totally forget. I'll get it because it's right there. Entertain people while I go and find the book.
Well, for me, to be honest with you, I take a different approach. I wouldn't even bother reading a book. I think if you go on Hive and the knowledge about cryptocurrency, about blockchain, about this entire ecosystem, about this industry, the knowledge level on Hive collectively, and you could focus maybe if you want, like in Leo Finance, that's a little more cryptocurrency related. But you look at some of the names we keep dropping out there. We had Ho on the show a few weeks ago. We have Brian of London, who does some coding, block trades. You start to listen to Starkers, and they call me Dan, even though they're not technical people. They're interacting with Vaultec and people like that who are the technical people and are building out. And we had Disregard Fiat. There's another name to drop. And so when you start to read through these posts on Hive about cryptocurrency, about blockchain, you start to read the works of block trades and the posts he puts up. And a lot of it's very difficult, but a simple highlighting of the word, right click and search, and you can find what the terms mean. And I think the information for blockchain and cryptocurrency that's on Hive is pretty much second to none. Then you start adding in, if you read people like Vitalik's Twitter feed, you read his posts. First off, this is all up to the date stuff. So the problem with a book in a high tech industry is by the time that reaches the publisher, a lot of it's out of date. So I think there's a great deal of knowledge to be garnered just by going and looking up the terms and just typing in certain keywords that you don't understand and find out what a block is, finding out what a block producer is, what's the difference between a proof of mine, proof of stake, delegated proof of stake. There's articles out there on all this stuff. I mean, people have written about it for years. There's Cointelegraph articles. I mean, simple web searches pulls up all this information, and that's really how you can start to get it all to come together. And then when you start to read through some of the blog posts of Brian of London or Disregard Fiat or Block Trades or Marky Mark or stuff like that, Archange, when they start talking about security, they start talking about different things. You'll know what they're talking about. You'll know what the acronyms mean. You'll have some idea. You may not be an expert, but you'll have some idea. And I think that's a much better approach these days than sitting down reading a book for 4 hours or 3 hours, which, you'll forget 95% of it within a week or week and a half or whatever the stats are. And, this is your ongoing education. You keep getting reaffirmed, and all of a sudden you'll come across a blog post and it talks about that. Blaine puts up a post about something he's doing, and it's like, oh, okay, I understand what he's saying. He's tapping into, I understand what the half is now, and I understand how that differs and what a database is and how that ties into the blockchain, and how the developers use the half to create their own customized databases using the data from the Hive blockchain. Then you start to understand and see the progress and how things tie together. And then you can start to decipher Well, okay, what does a decentralized database do, and how does it tie into a front end, and why is that important versus a centralized database like Twitter or Facebook?
And I went and got the book too, and then I just get slapped like, "Don't do this." Listen,
Well, you
for
didn't invite me to the
non-techie
freaking
people,
birthday party. You think I'm going to be nice to your ass?
he said for non-techie people.
That
Then you
I'm
say,
not a
"Go read
techie
a
person.
Howoo post." I mean,
What's that? You
you
read a
say,
Howell post and you
or
right
read a
clicking.
block trades post, dude. It's all, dude, non-techie, like me, like reading a
Now,
anyway.
do you know how to use a search engine, John?
No, I don't. It's this one. This is the easiest, simplest book. It's dated, yes, just like Tass said. But this is a book that I thought it was less than 200 pages. It was to the point. It was fantastic. It gave you big picture stuff. This Blockchain, the Next Everything, Stephen P. Williams. That was the book I was looking for idiot people like me. No, he's just not. He's like, yeah, he's an idiot. Next question. DevPress. Do you think people should trust Uphold and Nexo for their investment returns, or do you think CeFi is always going to be rug pulled like Celsius? And I don't think Celsius was a rug pull. I think it
No,
was just
I wouldn't call it
piss
rug
poor
pull.
management, like
Yeah.
awful management. Trust Uphold and Nexo for your investment returns. Disclaimer: I was bullish on Nexo. I took all my money out of Nexo last year just because I was like, the better idea for me, and Task, you're gonna love this, for my investment returns was effort cost averaging on Hive. I thought I would put my money in Hive, which without me thinking about it, I get 2 point something percent with Hive Power. I get close to 10% return for my curation. I'm getting effort cost averaging. So every day I'm creating posts, I'm growing my stake. I think people should trust their own hustle more than waiting for these companies that promise the world. Um, we use Uphold. We have for, it's whatever. Nexo I don't use anymore, but there's nothing wrong with it. I don't think. I just think that the better game plan for returns is Hive. So, but I'm bullish and biased. So.
It comes down to what we just talked about, trust. And I would agree with you. I don't think Celsius was a rug pull. It was, just like hundreds and hundreds and thousands of companies throughout history that went under due to mismanagement and over leveraging and a bunch of other things. Um, but yeah, I mean, you better damn well trust who you're giving your crypto to, and um, if you're really going after the return in terms of a fixed income return, you better be careful. I mean, I get a return off stuff through Leo Finance and on Polycub because I trust those people. HBD, that's blockchain level, so I trust that. My Ethereum, my Bitcoin, I don't have that getting an APY. Now, maybe I'm foolish, but it's locked away in an off-chain wallet, a hard wallet, and it's safe. That's just my approach. If I want to go get 8, 10, 12% off my Ethereum, then I'm going to be taking a risk of, a hack, a rug pull, something like that. So you have to you have to determine your level of risk. And anytime you're dealing with an application, there's third-party risk involved. And as we're starting to see, there's no recourse.
Yeah, it ain't a bank. It's not guaranteed. So that's why I like Hive so much. But again, very biased. NFT BBG's follow-up question is, reading the blockchain books is a headache for non-techie people like me. Can you explain the meaning of a hash in layman's terms and its relevance in the real world? What is a hash? A hash. I have the definition pulled up, but Task, you
a hash basically is information that relates to other information. It's it's a cryptographic. I don't even know the word, John. Technique, mechanism, maybe I guess mechanism, feature, and it's how they tie information together is about the best way I can phrase it. And when you hear about hash rates, that's how much, if I can remember correctly, how many transactions are
Right.
are there compared to the, I guess you'd say, the computational power that's being put at those transactions.
Yeah, the Investopedia. Hash is a mathematical function that converts an input of arbitrary length into an encrypted output of a fixed length.
And you could have looked that up on Leo Glossary, by the way.
You can look. I could have. Is it up on Leo Glossary?
Hash is on there. There's 310 fucking words on Leo Glossary.
Well, I'm just saying. I Googled it. I didn't even Googled it. I pre-searched it. So.
Yeah, well, we're not
Google.
ranking on search engines. That's for sure.
I pre-search. I don't
But
Google.
My definition in Investopedias probably are not as good. But anyway.
Yeah, there you go. Hope that helps. Lisa is up. Where is the best place to find out how much hive power I need to officially become a dolphin? This goes back to our whole thing about let's make it vests instead of hive power. As you know, becoming a dolphin is around. It was always around 5,000 hive power, and then it was 5,500 and some crazy number. It's, again, this is because it's not. And instead of making everything simple, and let's just keep it at the numbers, let's do things with M-vests and vests. And so it's not exactly 5,000. I use 5,000 just as my threshold. I don't worry about the dotted I's and crossed T's. But officially official, I'm not totally sure if there is an officially official place to find that. Maybe Leo
there is.
Glossary.
What was that site? HiveDB, was it?
HiveDB. Not sure. I know which one you're talking about, but HiveDB. It's a GitHub.
Actually, I think HiveDB used to have it, but I think HiveBuzz, somewhere in there, they tell you what is required. I don't know. I think HiveBuzz, because they use that for the badges. So Arcane's needs a running total of them.
It's around 5,500 though for Dolphin.
Something like that now. Yeah.
That's a good question. I will note that down and find that answer for you, Lisa, because I don't have it. Are you looking for a task? Or
I'm just looking through HiveBuzz and seeing if there's anything there that tells us. I thought I've seen it on HiveBuzz at one point, but I don't know.
There you go.
You're right. It's about 5,500,
give or take. I'll get that. I'll find that for you, Lisa. I will, and I'll send it to you. So, and finally, we have David Armstrong is up. He says several of the news projects. There are still some weak players in the exchange area that were over leveraged. They continue They continued with once these fall out, and Bitcoin falls to 13,000. There's a very strong recovery later this year. What are your views about the other weak players and a possible year-end recovery? No idea about, I mean, Tass just mentioned bond markets for, to get out of the bear and this and that and the third. But again, I don't give a rat's behind about Bitcoin price. I don't care. I don't have any Bitcoin. I've sold all my Bitcoin for Hive. I don't pay attention. I couldn't even tell you the price of Hive right now. I don't pay attention to the price. And I know that's such a warped way of thinking in crypto because everyone is attached to it. Like, what's the US dollar amount of this? And oh, we're in a bear market. Oh, look at this. It's like, yeah, we need money to eat, and it sucks that, things are not as great as they were this time last year. But I'm still using the blockchain. I'm still developing on the blockchain. I'm still networking and talking to people on the blockchain. The price to me is, like, especially Bitcoin. Maybe I'm a little bit more attracted to the price of Hive just because I basically live off of it. But Bitcoin, I don't pay any attention to at all. Like, I honest to goodness, without even trying to be sensational, I couldn't tell you the price right now. Bless you.
Thank you.
I could not tell you the price of Bitcoin right now, and I don't know where it's going to go, where it's headed to. I just don't care about the price of Bitcoin, but I know that that's the measuring stick for these markets. I don't know. Some of the other weak players out there. Everyone's saying that Crypto.com is the next one to fall, and I don't know. They're overspending on their marketing. I don't have a crystal ball. I sure hope Crypto.com doesn't go under because that's the one I use for my fiat onboarding and offboarding. But I just show up every day. I don't know, Tass. What do you think? What do you think is the views on weak players in the exchange markets and over leveraged?
I don't know. I'm still waiting on what's going to happen with Coinbase. It's they all face the same thing. So it's who knows who's going to come out of this, who isn't. It's kind of reminiscent to a much smaller degree, like we had in the U.S. 15 years ago, with which banks will get TARP money and which will be closed and not open up Monday under a different company name because it was
Right.
acquired. This is what happens in deleveraging, and people always are. For last year, everybody's screaming about the inflation. Trust me, when this flips to a deflationary environment, it's very, very painful. And people think inflation's bad. Deflation's worse because it starts as a spiral and you just don't know where it'll stop. And, when deleveraging and companies going out of business and companies laying off, and, it just starts spread from industry to industry to industry. Very painful time. And,
Right.
you're not going to, it's unless you're short in the market, it's not going to be, you're not going to see your accounts get bigger. I can promise you that. They'll get smaller, whether it's the equity market, whether it's the stock market, the crypto market. They're going to get smaller because that's what happens. Take haircuts.
Yeah.
We've seen it.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, we've just felt it. Bitcoin went from 66,000 to 20, and Hive was pumped, but so let's ignore 360. Let's say Hive was a legitimate $1.20. Well, it dropped by like 2/3. That's painful.
Yeah.
But that's just the way it is. Ethereum went close to $1,000. It was at 4,000 at one point. That's major deleveraging, and that's a lot of money lost.
It's I just checked. It's 20,000. It's almost $21,000 right now.
Okay, so it's been up a little bit. I saw somebody write that they thought 18 was in the cards soon, and I guess it reversed course and was plummeting, and then moved up.
Yeah, it's way above my pay grade, man. I like simple, man, and I think that's why I'm so attracted to Hive, because I don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out. Show up every day, put in the effort, and my effort cost average, I'm going to do a post on that effort cost average. Just keep showing up and it grows, Yeah, it'd be great, if Hive was $2 again. It'd be great, but I'm not going to stop using it, So because it was 40 cents. I mean, and that's the thing. That's the big thing with crypto projects that have actual use case. It's like it just I think you mention this all the time too about like dollars and like do people know, do people care about the what the cost forex trading value of the USD is? Unless you're into forex, no, you're still going to go and spend your $5 to $10 at McDonald's for well, until things go crazy, but you know what I mean. Like you're still going to use your US dollars, you're still going to use your Canadian dollars, you're still going to use your euros. It's Hive, I still use it. So.
Well, that comes back to what you always talk about, utility. The challenge is, well, here's the challenge I see, and I'm getting more firm with this resolution in my mind. The stable coins, HBD is the transactional coin. HBD is what we need to focus on for use case, for getting people to interact commercially and to build out derivatives and things based upon that. Right. Hive is like a stock. And when we look at these cryptocurrencies tied to projects, it's just like Leo Finance. I did a video before this because it's Leo Power Update. Leo is, basically you can think of as the stock for that entire ecosystem. And, I think if people use that in their minds, and yes, stocks go up, stocks go down. There's a lot of people holding Tesla, even though it's down like 40% from its high, because they believe it long term. There's a lot of people who won't touch Sears because they think it's shit and going out of business. And they're probably right on that. So it comes back down to what projects do you think are quality and what will appreciate. And then by having stake in that platform, you will enjoy any movement in the token price or the coin price as reflected by the market when the market picks up on what's going on. Now, the market may not pick up on that for a long time. The market may be just in a bearish mood and nothing really appreciates. Or it may start having a bull run and your project doesn't appreciate just because the market doesn't see it. And that's just the way it works. But if you're looking out there over 5 or 10 years and you believe in Hive, you believe in Leo, you believe in CTP, you believe in whatever, you believe in Bitcoin, you believe in Ethereum, you believe what Vitalik's doing, whatever it is you believe in. If you're doing that long term, if there's development, if there's utility being built on the chain, if there's a reason for these projects to exist, you'll do okay. The market at some point should reflect that. As we're finding out in the bear, what gets cleared out is a lot of the garbage that had, quite frankly, zero use case. And that was my point with UST and Luna. Who gives a shit? Who was holding Luna at all other than for speculation? What the hell was going on there? I mean, maybe there was some stuff, but I don't know about it. And that's the difference with Hive. You can sit there and say, well, wait a second, Task is built in Leo Glossary. There's a database being built. You got Brian of London using Hive for PodPing. You have Splinterlands that post to Hive. You have HBD that's on the base layer. You have the Speak network being built. You have blogging taking place. We're soon hopefully going to have some type of micro blogging feature taking place. You start to look at this stuff. CyberX is being built to some degree, being tied in there. You got Hive Engine and all these layer 2 tokens and layer 2 projects and NFT showroom and all of this stuff going on. Now, you could say that a lot of that stuff's crap, fine, but it's there. And not all of it's crap. There are legitimate Hive Engine tokens. There's legitimate NFTs, I'm sure, on NFT Showroom. CyberX is doing things that may or may not work out, but we're optimistic. Ragnarok, Exode, all these different games, Decrops. I mean, you name it. These are things that are use cases in utility. Some of it may not be very exciting long term, but it's there. and there will be more stuff coming. And then we're getting resource delegations through the next hard fork. Well, how will that change the tokenomics, if you will, in terms of investing in Hive? Will that create an opportunity for and a desire for people to hold and power up Hive? I don't know. It might, because all of a sudden there might be, I don't think it's going to take people too long that say, hey, you delegate resource credits to our users on our behalf, and we'll reward you in our native token. I mean, I can't believe it will take people too long to figure that out. And, maybe that's the approach for Splinterlands. Hey, you do that, you get SPS or deck, one of the two. I mean, why wouldn't they? If they need more resource credits to get people going, then, although I think their gig is more, they need the accounts and the resource credits. But, that's where the innovation comes. All of a sudden there's a tool, resource credit delegations, other developers, other project teams will figure out what to build, how to utilize it. And, I believe there, and as Addicted said, it wouldn't be surprised if somebody throws together an exchange to be able to swap those. I don't know how that would look, but that wouldn't surprise me either.
There's development. You just got to look for it.
Yeah.
Dude, great show, man. Everyone's questions were fantastic. Appreciate everyone coming out. Apologies for the technical difficulties earlier on. I have to talk to Elon about this, man. We gotta straighten it out with the Starlink stuff. But anyways, internet in the middle of nowhere, man. I shouldn't complain, and I'm not. So, Task, you have a good weekend.
It could be worse. You could be a Twitter shareholder.
I could be a Twitter shareholder. Yeah. What
down
a gong show that is.
Or whatever.
Guys, be good to each other. Have a fantastic weekend, and we will see you on Tuesday with Shadows Pub. We'll be here on Tuesday. Have a great weekend.
Ciao.